Okay, region scales. Let's go over a couple of tips that can help you in your audition and some things that'll really help you not get penalized. First off, we have 7 region scales: C, F, G, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, and then the chromatic scale. Now, most of your members have this low A, and our scales are going to be between F and E flat. So if we have the F scale, we're going to start down here. If we have the E flat scale, it's going to start here. Okay, and anything in between. So the G scale is here, A flat, B flat, C, D flat, and we already said the E flat. Okay, do not start your E flat down here. They're going to penalize you. And likewise, don't start your F up here. Okay, you got to start between this F and this E flat. Your chromatic will be on this middle C that's in between. Okay, the second C usually on a 4 1/3 octave marimba. So again, your low A, B, C, D, E, F is the lowest scale we have. Okay, let's go over hit spots and sticking approach. So I want you to hit dead center for all your hit spots. We'll talk about some details later, but that'll be good for targeting for right now and training our muscles to have awareness of where center is. Okay, so whenever we're playing, play right above the resonator. The resonators are these little pipes down here, right? Okay, hit right over the middle of those until we say otherwise, or your lesson teacher tell you otherwise. Okay, for stickings, we're going to go left lead alternating, which means we're going to go left, right, the whole time. So we're going to go left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. So this second octave, we start on our right, and then we're going to go left, right, left, right, left, right, left. So the stickings on the first octave will be the opposite on the second octave, which is okay because we're using piston stroke, and it's good to know both right and left sticking. But let's be consistent by starting left lead, alternating for all the scales. Now you will have a crossover at the top here, okay, but that's not a big deal because we're using piston, and we have a moment to pause there and get our hands reset. Okay, not a big deal if you're using piston stroke. So again, it's going to go left, right, 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 left. Make sure when you're practicing these scales that you are going nice and slow and accurate. You want to make sure you're paying attention to your rhythm with the metronome, and then think about your sound quality and the weight, the hit spots. Make sure that you're doing it slow and perfect first, okay? And eventually you'll work your way up to our target tempos. Now I think 180 is a good target tempo to be competitive. Anything faster seems hectic and could be punished by some judges. Anything slower might be good because it might be more accurate, but you got to try to push yourself to about 180. Okay, now chromatic, I like to think of chromatics in triplets because I kind of teach it in a certain way with triplets. So 140 at the triplet is a good tempo that you want to target for your chromatic with your 8th note triplets. By the time we get to the audition though, if you can't get up to 180, if you're at 160 but you know that's consistent, you have to know you're playing. You have to know what's going to make you successful on the day of. I'm not saying give up on the first week of school and go, man, I'm just going to go 100. You need to try to work yourself up to that 180, but you have to know you're playing by the time you get to the day of a mock audition or the real audition. A judge will punish fast tempos with a bunch of mistakes rather than slow and steady and correct. Even though you might not be as fast as the kid that played before you, maybe you're going to play with better sound quality and rhythms, and so you want consistency. Next thing I want to talk about is your routine. It won't be a routine unless you do it routinely. So this is something I want you to start doing. Be disciplined, make yourself do this. Let's say we're practicing the B flat scale. Let's pretend like we're at the region audition. Okay, so here's what I want you to do or try to do. Maybe your lesson teacher or another percussion teacher has a different routine, but again, you need a routine. What I would do, let's say we're doing the B flat scale, what I would do is I would fake the first octave at the tempo that you would tend to go. Just get those jitters out of the way and get the feel of the shape in your hands. Then what I want you to do is take a deep breath in through your nose, out through your mouth. Then you are allowed to do a practice roll. You might not do a roll, depends on what your instructor tells you, but if you're allowed to, I like to hit the instrument before I play and get my touch and get the weight of the stick in my hands. Also, when you're doing this, do it musically, okay? Start soft and then crescendo and then end soft. The reason why I do that is I don't want to be abrupt with my roll, okay, and then startle the judge. Also, it's like a smooth takeoff, and then you're flying, and then smooth landing. Now, if somebody says you have to do a straight roll, do what you gotta do, just make sure it's not harsh. After that, get the tempo in your head. This is my tempo. And then finish the scale, okay? So again, the whole thing's gonna happen very quickly because you don't wanna take too much time. So again, I'm gonna fake. Okay, and then do your scale. Okay, really try not to stop on these scales. In other words, if you're playing and you make a mistake, just keep going. Notice I made a mistake around this area here, but I just kept going. The bigger deal you make of your mistake, the bigger deal the score will show that mistake. You're going to catch the judge's attention. The judges are human. They might be taking a sip of water or crunching on some kind of snack that was given on the day of. Or they might have just heard 100 kids and their attention span isn't quite there. And if you play and you make a mistake but you just keep going, you might not get their attention and then they're going to put down a good score. But if you stop, you're going to definitely grab their attention and they're going to notice. So you have to show recovery skills. Plus, that's what we want when we pick region kids. We want to see kids that can make a mistake and keep on going like a professional. Sometimes when you make a mistake and you keep going like nothing happened, it's actually more impressive than if you didn't even make the mistake at all, because you're showing that professional recovery skill where, hey, I made a mistake, I'm just going to keep going like nothing happened because I'm a professional and I'm ready to go. Okay, when you're playing these scales, because you guys are middle school kids, you might have a shorter stride than I do. So what I recommend is have your left foot on the first note you're going to play, and then your right foot on the middle octave, and then lean, okay, over as you play. Then when you get to the second octave, I want you to put your foot together and then put your right foot on the high octave. So you kind of basically go left foot's on the first note, right foot's on the octave above, put them together, move out. And this way we are practicing consistently what we're going to do in the room. A lot of kids turn at their trunk like this, and that's going to create, look, you can even see it, it's creating all these different hit spots instead of keeping myself square up to the instrument and keeping things in the middle, okay? Also, a lot of kids take a bunch of steps as they play, right? And they're doing all these steps down here, and that's just going to breed inconsistency, okay? You want to know what's going to happen, every little element, so make sure you work on that scale cha-cha, I guess we could call it, okay? Okay, let's talk about weight and sound quality for a second. A lot of kids get nervous and grip the stick really hard and then play from their arms, okay? You need to be relaxed. Make sure the stick is breathing in your hands. Let the weight transfer. When you have all that tension, you're going to have inconsistency in your sound, right? And the stick weight is not going through. Okay, if you have trouble with that, then just practice. Okay, I'll start stiff. Okay, let me relax and use more wrist, and then feel the weight of the stick. Okay, sometimes when you're faking it in the air, bum, ta, 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 does the mallet feel heavy in your hand? It should. That way the weight is going through, and then you're going to have more consistency and more of a robust sound. Okay, we want confidence. We don't want... Right? If someone plays like that, I don't want that kind of confidence in the region band. Okay? Now, likewise, you don't want to play too loud and be boombastic and get a bad sound and overplay the instrument. Okay? You want to find that sweet spot. Confident, big sound, and you want to make sure that you're relaxed. Use your wrist, and make sure the stick can breathe and has doesn't have too much tension in the fingers, and let the weight transfer and match height at the top. Always make sure it's always the same weight. And make sure your hands feel the same tension as well, or lack of tension, I should say. In general, if you use piston stroke and you always lift the mallet and start at the same height, you're going to get the same sound. We're talking about a little bit of tension and weight transfer. But again, if you're lifting every note, that should take care of itself. Now, a lot of times on timpani or even the mallet etude or your scales, you're thinking so much about the different notes that you forget about your rhythm. And this might be a good exercise for you to do to work on this weight. So maybe just pick one note and just practice your stickings. Ready, go. Left, right, left, right, left. Make sure you're lifting and you're using wrists and you're feeling that weight go through, and it has a good sound that's not overplayed or underplayed. Okay, do the same thing on timpani. Learn your rhythms on a pad and just play the stickings and the rhythms on the pad and make sure the rhythm sounds good and the sound is good. You could do this with your mallet etude on one note, okay, but especially on your scales. Before you play the scale, maybe that's what you do. And make sure it all feels the same and sounds the same. All right, guys, and just mentally, when you're doing your scales or your snare or timpani, make sure you stay in the moment. Don't think about the mistakes that could happen or the mistakes that did happen. You stay in the moment and focus on the moment. Don't think, oh, I just messed up the C scale, now I'm going to play the E flat scale. Well, it's too late. You need to treat each etude or each scale like the most important thing at that moment and just focus on what's happening. If something bad happens in the room, you need to just let it go. Okay, you need to have a short memory. Now, when you're rehearsing or you're practicing, yes, think about the mistakes you made, fix them, slow it down, isolate it until it's not a problem at all. But when you're in the room, you have to have a short memory and just focus on the moment and stay positive. It's never as bad as you think it is, okay? Even if you think you did bad in the snare room, hey, now it's time for timpani. I've got to kick some butt at timpani right now. Okay, I did pretty good, and don't get too high either. Don't go, man, I just totally played the timpani perfect. Man, I better play the scales perfect, because then you're going to put pressure on yourself. You need to think, okay, I'm going to do my best. I kind of know my level of playing, and you can't wish for the perfect run through in the day of region. You can't go into the room thinking perfection. Okay, that's not going to happen. Okay, if you are perfect, that's just bonus. But you need to have the approach, man, I'm going to do my best. I'm probably going to make some mistakes, but I'm going to keep going and continue to do my best. You need to think that way. Otherwise, if you set up yourself to think that you're going to be perfect, and as soon as you make a mistake, you're not perfect, you're going to freak out, okay? Those of you who know who Mike Tyson is, he used to say, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. So in other words, you are getting ready for this battle, and some people think they're not going to get hit, and as soon as they do, they're like, oh my God, what do I do? Okay, you need to be prepared to make mistakes and be mature about it and continue playing. You might even want to practice making mistakes and recovering, okay? Like, I'm going to play the E flat scale, I'm going to mess up I'm going to hit D flat on accident, and then I'm going to keep going. Okay, and just get yourself ready for that. I mean, even a buddy could stand in front of you and you play your etude or your scales in front of a buddy and see what that pressure feels like to play in real time in front of somebody listening. Okay, let's play all these scales. Remember, on ensemble block, you can loop it and slow it down until you can get up to this ideal speed. B flat, 2, 1, 2, ready, go. C, 2, 1, 2, ready, go. D flat, 1, 2, 1, 2, ready, go. E flat, 2, 1, 2, ready, go. 2, 1, 2, ready.